Hey guys, and welcome to Criminality, the podcast we started because loving reality TV and even things like The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is not a crime. Oh my gosh, where are you in the series, in this season?
Hi, Melissa. I'm Rebekah.
Oh, hi.
I know. No, let's cut the frills. It's the word no frills. Let's get right down to it. I think I'm on episode 5. It has been the pain of my week, the bane of my existence that I haven't been able to finish that season yet.
I know,
of,
me too.
Like, work people are paying me to do. It's like unfair. But it's so a good season, no?
It really is. I did fast forward through most of the party for Layla because I just wanted to. I couldn't do it. Love her, just couldn't sit through it. But everything is so good, and there's like season desists that are out there now, and I don't. And it has to do with something that's coming up, so like I'm just dying to get there.
I know, and we had our like we're talking about reality TV not being a crime or loving it, but we had our second cop appearance on the show, right? First season,
yes,
we had a cop on premises.
Oh yeah, that was first episode,
right? And now we had another one. I'm like, this is dang good. Like you look at these girls and you're like, in what universe are the cops showing up at their house?
I mean, apparently all the time. Yeah, there's just a lot going on there that I love, and it's so terrible, and it feels this like perfect, like really trashy thing for me.
Oh yeah.
While still like it's TLC that thinks it's Bravo.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's why I like it.
Yeah. You're like, I can handle this. Meanwhile, I'm over here on the Slayton sisters and camels biting people. But yeah, it's been great, and I'm glad you're watching it. And our dear friend Laura is watching it, of course.
Good. Yeah,
she has lots of opinions.
I will say people that I wouldn't expect to be interested in this, I'll just mention it, and they're aware of it. It's mention it all, but they're just so aware, and they're like, what's with this billboard? What's with this, like, the new intro with them in the water with the hair? Mm-hmm. I'm like, tune in. It'll make perfect sense, and yet not at all if you watch.
Yeah. It's just mess, and that's what we love, which is why we are, once again, not talking about that show. We're talking about PolyFamily on TLC/Max.
Yeah, we are.
So is that why you'll do it? The Max part? You're like, okay, if it's on Max,
I
can do it.
And
Max has a new name, right?
Well, they're going back to HBO Max. They need to get it sorted over there.
I know. I never was a part of HBO Now because I never even understood what that meant. I was just getting used to Max.
It's sort of like Twitter and X. It's just like, I mean, we eventually all did start saying Max, but for so long we were all saying HBO Max. Mm-hmm. And I actually know a girl who works in like the advertising department team of Max, and she told me their tagline once, and I'm like, they have a tagline? And it was so forgettable, I can't tell you what it was. It was terrible, and I don't think she created it.
Is it like it's not TV, it's HBO? That I feel like used to be their thing.
No, right? It was new. I think that was their old one. Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, that made sense. Yeah, it was something like, it was terrible. I wish I could bring it up, but I can't.
It's all right. No.
Also, I don't think she made it. She's really smart and wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we are on TLC, and I saw a commercial for a new show that I'm sure you're going to check out, 1,000-Pound Roomies.
I did see that. I am tapped out on.
Now we're tapped out.
On
excuse me.
I'm tapped out on all the weight numerical numbers. There's like 1,000-pound couple, 1,000-pound sisters.
Yeah. Well, they must.
I can only
be doing
one.
well because they've found a new franchise, and they look fun.
They do actually look fun. I only saw one commercial. Maybe I will. But I need trash. They might just be fun. I need trash.
That's true. Might be too highbrow. We'll have to. I'm not going to commit. I'm open though. I watched it. I'm like, they seem funny. Like they seem funny, and I can also understand what they're saying, which is not always the case with the sisters.
We get closed captioning. I don't understand what the problem is.
Silly me. I like to just be able to hear it and know what they're saying when it's English.
No. So Rebekah, do you want to kick us off for this episode?
I do. Quick caveat. I was watching on my laptop, had notes open, had YouTube TV open, and I don't know, something got out of order. I think I fixed it, but if something sounds wrong and I skip a whole scene, please tell me.
There is no way I will be able to help you with that. I did watch it, but I only watched your section once, so we'll just go with it. I'll commit to it.
But I might be like saying stuff that is in your hat. I don't think so, but let's see what happens. It'll be also in addition to a recap, like a choose your own adventure. So we're back watching PolyFamily because that's what we do now here every week. I hope you guys love it as much as we do. So this episode was called "Oh My Quad."
They're running low. They are running low. ChatGPT has spit out 4, and it's like, don't know if we can do any more.
Also, I hear quad. It's married to medicine for me. So
the only one that matters.
Took me way out of the moment, but here we are. So the scene opens with the parents, all 4 of them, and all 5 kids going to their local community Santa event, which is this annual tradition. And I don't know, it's just so much to do, so many kids.
It's so much to do, so many kids, and so many people. Like, just to be traveling in that group of people.
Yeah. And you know, I know this is the premise of the show, but they're like introducing themselves to people. So it's always got to be like, this is me and my wife, and that's my girlfriend, and that's her boyfriend, and there's her husband. And then it's got to be like a moment with the person who just heard all that responding. So here we go. So Tyler tells us that he and Sean had that one conversation about their relationship and their fears around the kids, which we covered last week. And Tyler says, I think we need to do a little more to keep rebuilding that trust. But if you remember last week, Sean was like, no, we're good. What do you want to do? Like, go hold hands and see a play? So I don't know what they're supposed to do because he's not super willing. But Sean then says, there's no guarantee down the road, Tyler, if things go wrong, that Tyler won't just take these kids, take them to court and make them be his because he has more parental rights as the biological father, we think. Well, we know with Quentin, but we don't know with the 2 toddlers. So then, as I mentioned, they have this introduction with this random guy, Kyle, who, after being introduced, and I thought this was funny because he said to the camera, after they introduced themselves, instead of like themselves, but I was like, well, no, their selves actually works. He said, I thought they were joking. And then I realized they're not. And that was unusual for him, but that if it makes them happy, that's great. And then quickly, but it's not for me.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, the producers,
they don't have to ask. They can't say it fast enough.
Like, no.
I can't wait till there's someone in this little Oregon town that's like, hey, tell me more. Like, where could I learn more? Yeah. Like, have we Polygon? Are we Polygon curious? So Sean says that several Christmases ago, like, this is such a new experience, right? They've been doing this the last few years as their quad. But just before that, it was just he and Taya. I had to make sure when they were just a married couple with no kids. And now they have partners, 5 kids.
Possibly other kids that are out there somewhere that he doesn't have custody of.
Well, in light of those alleged allegations, it makes his desire for this like legal connection a little more heightened for me and a little more like troubling, but we'll get to it. Then we see the kids like piling up on the bench with Santa. And it's actually really cute because
so cute.
Little newborn sleeping, and that's perfect because he's not screaming, although that's always cute too. The kids are all around and they're taking the pictures, and I'm sorry, like I'm a sucker for kids with Santa. It's like adorable.
I get it.
Then Taya and Sean sit on the bench with Santa and kiss while being photographed. Then Sean and Alesia take a picture with Santa and kiss, and that feels entirely unnecessary.
I feel like that's part of my issue with this whole entire thing is sometimes it feels very
performative.
Yes, performative, where you're like, I've never gone with my kids. I'm just trying to get through the Santa thing. Everybody else is waiting in line. Why am I going to go kiss next to Santa Claus? It seems pervy to me. I don't even know why.
I feel like the parents only get involved in the Santa pic if like a kid's fully melting down, or needs to be restrained,
like holding their back. Yeah.
Like for them to like pose and make it about them with Santa is just ick.
Yeah.
Then we go back to Kyle, the new guy who had responded to the introduction with the parents, and he's talking to Tyler, and they're just having more discussion about their lifestyle. And they kind of both realize that. So Kyle's like, I have 2 kids from a previous relationship, and now we're a blended family. And so it was kind of actually interesting to watch them talk and relate because the polyamorous family and the blended family are actually quite similar, but people respond to it really differently. Like no one, is as weirded out by a guy who has 2 kids from a marriage marrying a woman, and then they kind of unite their kids or have kids together. It's just harder for people to get their head around. And they were talking about how that's the case, and that's kind of a bummer. And I thought that was actually a very interesting and good point. Then, I don't know who's saying this, maybe you remember, but someone's talking about how Barrett and Carver, the toddlers, might not even be biologically related, which I had not realized because I'm dumb. And, they're back at the house and they're playing in the living room.
Yeah.
And it's because, obviously, each woman carried one. And technically,
I didn't
father
either.
could be different on both. And so they're literally the same age, almost being raised like twins, but they actually might share no DNA.
I didn't think about
Me
that.
either.
I for sure thought half siblings. Like
Same.
in my head, I just assumed.
Same.
That's Cody Brown's whole thing that's like seeped into my brain.
Right.
I have developed that disease. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And I realized just what a poor STEM student I was and continue to be.
They keep pushing women in STEM, and I'm like, we'll
stick to podcasting.
All of us.
I've got one daughter who's into it, and she gets this. She would have been like all over that. But they're playing in the living room, like after the Santa trip. Like these parents are so intentional. They're like, now it's like fort cushion and blanket parachute time. And I'm like, you guys are really good parents because we get home from Santa. I'm like, everyone go to bed. Like we did a fun thing. Now, goodbye.
That's what I'm like, if we checked it off the list. I don't have to feel guilty. We're done. But also keep in mind, there are producers there and they're like,
family time.
If somebody was coming to my house, I would have a whole
rigmarole,
horse and pony thing going on.
No, it's so true.
It would be quite.
It's like when people are watching, your parenting looks a little different. They're like, show them how we always build a fort. And they're like, with what? They're like, our cushions, of course. We do this every night.
You told me never to touch the cushions.
Mommy, I can't sit on the couch now. I can take the cushions off. No, it looks like they actually might do this a lot, which is great for them.
Maybe.
So I was impressed. And then the little toddlers are going to bed and they're like, love you. Like the parents are saying, love you. And they're like, like they say it in their little toddler way. And it's adorable.
So cute.
So cute. So Taya says when they were pregnant last time with the toddlers, they talked about legal protection for all 4 parents. And now that they're done having kids, she's like, I think now would be a perfect time. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Was this always an option? Like, if this was something you guys were talking about, I'm curious why the delay.
There's 4 of you. One of you.
Someone could have picked up the phone.
Somebody
Google. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then they all 4, they put the baby to bed and guilty, right? We've all done this. You watch the baby or listen, but if it was back in my parenting days, to the baby on the monitor, and they're all watching how like Quentin's little butt is up in the air and it's cute. And I am like, I don't know. The family's growing on me.
Okay, well,
no.
I've got pieces of them are. Alicia's the only one. I will take Alesia to the bank with me.
I like
love
Taya
her.
too. Okay, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Taya brings this up. So babies are asleep. They're in the kitchen. They're all talking. And they're like, where do we even start to do this? And they're like, adoption agency or a lawyer? One of them is saying, sorry, I don't know who. I'm assuming Taya's like, Oregon law is that the birth mother and the husband go on the birth certificate, which we learned in a previous episode. So Taya and Sean are Carver and Quentin's parents, according to the certificate. Tyler and Alesia are on Raina, Barrett, not Raina, who I figured out is Dylan.
Oh, okay.
But let's just keep it with not Raina.
I know.
He can work that out in therapy later. So Taya says they want to do this so nobody has to worry that the kids are going to be taken from them, because obviously that is a concern. So they're talking about this third party
adoption. I feel like they were calling it that. Yeah.
But I think what they mean is third parent, because third party implies it's taking the place of someone else, not an addition.
Right.
But
and that's what they're trying to avoid.
Right.
Added, not taken
exactly.
off.
And the lawyer will kind of clarify that later. Glad we brought in an expert. So yeah, they're wanting a third party so that the spouse essentially gets to be like a legal step parent. And Tyler really wants this done officially on documents so that he and everyone can say, yes, I am these children's father. And every person can say, I am their parents and mean it by the law. Sean wants to do something as well to solidify his being a parent. And this is what I was talking about before. So basically, they're all on the same page. They all want this for each other, for themselves. Right. But to your earlier point, like in light of these accusations roaming around with him, I'm like, why is he? I don't know. I don't know why it like makes me uneasy that he's like wants this so much.
Well, I feel like he more than anyone is pushing for it because he, I think, knows that things could blow up. Because of him, and he knows that people are going to keep the kids away from him. Like,
right,
Tyler seems like a good dad. Right. The other two seem like good moms, but he seems like
the loose cannon.
One out of the group. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the one you would lose. So I think he has more to lose.
100%, and especially if he's already lost some custody issues to some or stepped out. I don't know what the situation is.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do agree that they all have this sort of like mutual way of talking about it. And he's like more self-focused in the way he expresses it. So now we're back at the house again. Both couples are on the couch and Alesia's holding the baby. And then she's like, oh, he's hungry. And they like pass him across all adults over to Taya to feed, who then smells him and is like, no, he is like, needs to be changed desperately. And Alesia's like, really? Oh, I hadn't noticed. No one noticed and just handed the baby back. Then Tyler takes the baby to change. The producer asks, so who changes the baby's diapers in the night? And Taya's like, the guys do, depending on whose night it is. Like, they let me sleep and they take it. And I'm like, good for you. That's great.
Right.
Then the producer says, so who's more likely to pretend they're asleep? And Taya's like, 100% me. Like, I do that. Yeah. And I'm like, same. I totally did that. And this is why I like her. I feel like she's very honest in some moments.
Yeah.
What is your issue
I don't know.
with Taya?
I don't know. I don't know just yet, but something about her feels not very honest and like
interesting.
A pick-me girl, if I'm using that right. Like she knows she's the hot commodity around there, and
it's all relative.
Yeah, but I mean, like poor Alesia's just like
I know
killing herself for somebody to pay attention to her, and Taya's like, I pretend to be asleep, and everybody's like, you can't wake up with a baby, Alesia. So I just feel like, that was a weird one when they weren't like, Alesia sometimes gets up with the baby just because she'd want to. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just kind of, it felt like, why are we excluding her from this? If everything is supposed to be all of us, why is she getting excluded? I wouldn't want to be included in changing the baby's diaper. Oh. But I do love babies in the middle of the night. They're so sweet.
Oh, you're such a good person. I really value my sleep.
I do now, but at the time I was just stupid.
No, I didn't have that. I really didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it was my first, but by the second and third, I'm like, anyone, intruder.
Yeah.
Like, someone take this kid and deal with it. Give them back, but like, Then Sean brings up, they're back in the living room on the couch, and they're like, we need to start thinking about individual dates. You know, romance has been on the back burner. I'm like, it's been 8 weeks. Like, settle down, people. And Sean's like, things have been really serious with the lawyer and the paternity and the new baby. We need to have some dates because, like, we got to rekindle the romance. And so then they're basically like, okay, we usually rotate date nights, but it's been so long with pregnancy and everything. Like, whose turn is it to have a date? And this scene, they're trying to figure out who should go on the date and how to decide who should go on the date. So,
and how do they pick who goes with the person who gets to go on?
Right.
Yeah.
First of all, Taya's like, I'm 2 months postpartum. I'm not feeling particularly romantic or sexy. And this is why I like her. I just feel like she's a really good sport. Like, she had the sip and see. She's doing the Santa thing. Like, I feel like she's participating a lot when, like, you kind of just want to sleep. But she was like, but she's like, okay, let's figure this out. Should we draw straws? And Sean's like, that's weird. And Taya's like, okay, so just who do you want to go on a date with? And he's like, well, that's a terrible idea. And I agree. And then Alesia's like, we could thumb wrestle. And Tyler's like, rock, paper, scissors. Except he says, paper rock, scissors. And everyone's like, you're a freak. And so they're basically just like, how do we decide this? Like, who thumb wrestles? Who plays rock, paper, scissors? It's just like, this is why it's too many people. Like,
yeah, it's too many people making decisions.
Right. And so then they're like, okay, names in a bucket. And they're like, okay, but when you draw a name, are we drawing the name of who we go out with or who goes next?
Yeah.
Alicia's like, both. And I'm just like, I can't keep up. Like,
nope.
I just opt out. You know what? I'm tired. I just had a baby. How about you three go out on a date? I'll stay home.
Yeah.
So then they're like, forget this, rock, paper, scissors. It is. So Tyler and Sean do rock, paper, scissors. Tyler wins. So then it's like a hybrid of methods. And he then picks a name out of the bucket. And so Tyler won. So he gets to pick first. Then he picks the name and it's Taya. So they're like, yay. But like, Tyler and Taya are actually like, yay. And Alicia's like, yay. Like
and Sean is just
there. And
glaring at everyone.
And it's awkward. So Sean is like, I'm really bummed it's not me. I haven't been able to go out with her in so long. And I'm like, eek. So they discuss how nurturing their individual relationships as well as the whole quad is really important. And we learn something interesting. Alesia says the guys rotate every night. So every other night they're with Taya, one night or the other. So they're getting up with the baby when they're with Taya. Yeah. So when they come back to her room on her night, they're exhausted because they were up.
Yeah.
So she's like, and that affects our intimacy and our romantic connection. And I'm like,
right. That's what I'm saying. I think this is by design because Taya's over there sleeping through the night, not having to worry about that, getting other people to take care of the baby in the middle of the night. And poor Alicia's still
starved for attention and touch. Yeah, she's not like getting a baby snuggle. It's true. Then Tyler, I don't know, is like going on and on about the importance of dates. Alicia's like, and we've heard this before from her, I set a boundary a long time ago. I don't want to know any of the details of their intimate bedroom life because I'll compare myself and I'll feel insecure and jealous. She's like, and I do. I look at Taya and Tyler and how excited they are to go on this date, which I guess has been decided. It's going to be an overnight date, or maybe it hasn't been decided yet.
All of a sudden, it's an overnight date.
Bags are packed, rooms are booked, and it's like, oh,
at the coast.
We're not going.
Yeah, they're out of here.
Applebee's, like what?
Yeah.
So I would kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
And she's like, when I look at Taya and Tyler, it looks like they're more in love than me and Tyler, and that's hard for me. And I'm like, you're not wrong.
Understandably.
They do look like that, and that would be hard for me too. So I have that the next scene they're at the attorney's office.
I think so,
okay, great. And Alesia explains to the attorney the structure of their relationship and the kids' history of their births. Like, these two kids came in from Tyler and Alesia.
It's so hard to remember.
Especially because it seems like it should be Tyler and Taya and Sean and Alesia as married people.
And everyone knows it.
Right. And then they had the two toddlers, and then Taya just had this biological baby. And the lawyer's like, okay, so if either couple gets a divorce, paternity is a huge issue because custody, that's like true for any couple, right? Now you've got like more people involved. And Sean's like, this just doesn't sit well with me. To which I say, conversations that could have happened 5 years ago. I don't know.
Honestly, like now you're like fighting the man.
It's so crazy. So the lawyer's like, there's really no precedent for this either. So you're talking about a third-party adoption. And if that happens, one biological parent has to terminate their parental rights to have another person come in and take on the parental right legally. And Sean is like, so what I'm hearing is Tyler would give up paternity to the three of us. And then she's like, yeah. And Tyler's like, well, that doesn't really solve anything. That's not what we want. And Sean's like, yeah, no, that's not what we want. But like, he's
that's
kind of like,
I want at all.
I kind of want that. And the lawyer's like, so what I'm hearing is all four of you want equal parenting rights for all five kids. And they're like, yes. And she's like, yeah, no judge is going to do that in Oregon because there's no legal basis for it. And so you'd have to then appeal. You'll be denied. Then you have to appeal. Then you have to go to the Court of Appeals. And then what are you going to take this all the way up to the Supreme Court through legislation? And then Taya's crying because she's like, this should not have surprised me, but it's really upsetting to know that like there's no legal safety net for a family like theirs. And she wishes it was different. So I understand her feelings on that. It's interesting that like a judge could, I guess, decide to make, it would be like new legislation. It would be like a groundbreaking case, basically.
Yeah.
Like we would then have a name for it. Like, in PolyFamily versus the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
And we would cite it in future. The quad versus the state of Oregon. And future true crime podcasts, we might reference it.
It's not too late. There still could be a true crime podcast based on this family.
Well, we'll be the first to know and cover it. So perfect.
Yeah.
So then we're going to a Mexican restaurant, which is nice because they're not in a living room. And it's a little easier to like remember the scene because it's in a different location. And they're going to see Taya's family, her dad, brother, and sister, who I think is like a different part of her family because we've met her mom and sister and grandpa, who I guess are like the mom's side. And now we're meeting the dad's side. And I have to say, like, all Taya's family seem pretty great.
They do. I know. But I still think we're being force-fed something. I don't know what it is, but there's something in me that's just like, oh, everybody's perfect and happy all the time, and this is all wonderful, and nobody has any issues. I just don't believe it.
You're a really good judge of character. You're also often on the right side of history. I'm easily hoodwinked, but so far, I'm Team Taya.
I'll let you say it. I'll let you stay there.
I'll I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong.
The thing is, we won't remember.
That's true.
And so,
but the other thing is that it's been recorded and we can be reminded.
Remind us.
Please. Yeah. So we're at the Mexican restaurant and I think I'm going to pass the guacamole to you.
Thank you. I'm not Amanda. I don't make guacamole.
Nice one.
Yes. Thank you, Summerhouse. Okay. So Taya's meeting with the dad, brother, much younger sister. She's talking about this great relationship they have. Her dad says that at first he asked a lot of questions about the quad and how it would work. And he's like, everyone's skeptical, but, the whole world is skeptical. So anytime you hear something like this, you're like, okay, but what's the deal? Which is what we are still doing with this family. And I put a note here that said, honestly, I feel like if her dad's just happy that she's not just married to Sean. Imagine Sean's your son-in-law.
He's like,
I'd be like, Tyler,
that's such a great point.
Come on.
Yeah.
He's just like, let's dilute how much Taya genetics, or how much Sean's genetics are going to mess up this entire thing.
Yeah, so, maybe he'd never heard her say she was happy before with just Sean.
Her face sure doesn't say it. Her eyelashes say it even less.
His lashes could talk.
So they are talking with her dad about the third party adoption, and her dad says something that I thought was sweet and like I don't think dads always say something like this where, Alesia's saying the laws needed to be changed and they have no idea how long it can take. And he says, I'm sorry to hear that, which is like sometimes it's like our expectations on the floor because I'm like, somebody said sorry to hear that. And I'm like, what a genuinely nice
the bar is
being.
It's subterranean. But honestly, it's like, it just shows that he heard her. He wasn't trying to fix or offer a suggestion or mansplain or like give advice. It was like, I'm really sorry to hear that. And it was so sincere. I agree with you.
It was, yeah. And so Alesia's saying, keeping the kids all together is the most important. And I can understand that. They're all 5 being raised as siblings. Yeah. And so if she and Tyler dies, she worries that someone that has a blood relation to her would have more say than Taya and Sean, who they've chosen to be, the parents, which in that case, I think, isn't that what a will's for? Just like put it in a will. And
that's a great point too.
Wouldn't that solve?
I feel like we should be brought on as consultants to this family. Full of good ideas.
Some point. Yes. So we now see, Alesia talking about on the couch and saying, she and her dad haven't been on great terms. Her family hasn't been very supportive, which is another thing for poor Alesia that I'm like,
she's getting the short end of the quad.
Gosh, if Sean is your boyfriend, you're like having a different relationship from your husband to be with your boyfriend, and it's Sean.
And your husband's more in love with his girlfriend.
Yes. And your family's like, this is not a good situation.
You.
Yeah, there's a lot going on for poor
milk won't come in. You can't.
Yeah. And Taya's dad is saying to them back at the table, like, having you guys in our family is so great. Yeah. Alesia's tearing up. And her dad's like, I'm always going to support you guys. And Tyler, who is wearing on me also, says, the fact that your priority is, of course, to support my daughter, like, not everyone does that. So I just want you to know that not everyone does that. Right, Alesia? Right, Alesia? Isn't your dad a piece of crap? Right, Alesia? That's what it felt like to me, where I'm like, the lady's over there, eyelashes fighting for dear life to even stay on her face. And like, crying and
The
just
lashes are like, we don't want to go into the clock. We'll drown.
Those things are swimmers, if nothing else.
No, those things will sink. Are you kidding? They're like pounds. Anchors.
Exactly. Okay, so now we're back to, at the house. Tyler is giving the toddlers a bath. I still don't understand to this day why. Obviously, we don't see anything. We don't even see blurs, but don't let camera people in. Don't let production in the room while you have naked kids. I don't understand why this is still a thing.
Yeah, that feels like it should be like a law on sets with minors.
We stopped that with the Goslings, I thought. Haven't we all been through enough? Haven't they been through enough?
Seriously.
Okay, so then we see Taya talking to her friend Lex. So we know that Taya is pansexual, says she needs another female in her life. So obviously they're trying to make us think these two are going to be a thing. And Taya, first thing she says to Lex, because it's on FaceTime. Do you remember what that was?
I wasn't taking notes.
Your lashes look great. So right off the bat, I was like, Lex, wherever you are, girl, those lashes are not doing well for you. If she's complimenting you,
take it with a grain of salt.
Do we know if she's like a lash artist? Maybe that's what Taya does. Maybe that's like...
Is she underemployed?
She has to practice a lot. And
yikes.
And it's a lot. So anyway, we find out that she and Lex, they're both polyamorous. They both are pansexual. They both have 5 kids. They both just had a new baby. They're very close, but they live 12 hours away. And once again, Taya announces, like any of us are still wondering, my milk came in. Like, okay, girl, everyone expects it. Tell me if it doesn't. I don't need to know day-by-day updates. Ugh.
Lex was psyched to hear it.
Thrilled.
She yes-anded that.
She absolutely did. And she was like, are you drinking enough water? I could drink more. Because everyone could. When you're like, did they send you home with like a big thing of water? That's like the first water jug I ever had.
I had kids in the 1900s. They did not send me.
Crap. No, I will say when you were talking about baby monitors, my daughter, I had the just hearing one, and my son, I had the video. But it was so grainy that one time I was like, is he asleep in the box in his room? And he was. He had an ear infection. He was really tired, and it was just his head in the box. And I was like, if he's sleeping,
I mean, he seems safe. That's so
But I was
funny.
like, is this on a delay? What am I seeing? Because it was obviously a cheap one. Okay. So producers are like, oh, and here's another thing where Taya got on my nerves. She's like, Lex was such a big support for me during postpartum, during my pregnancy. When I had the baby, she's such a big support. And I'm like,
meanwhile,
in there fighting for her life over there.
Yeah, well, you have like 3 other adults kind of doing a ton for you.
I know, but Alesia seems to be providing some support. Yeah. I just didn't like the way she said it.
I didn't notice that, but you're not wrong.
I don't trust any of them. So, of course, producers ask her, did you ever date Lex? And she's like, oh, I wish I did. And she said,
that's why I like her, because she's so honest. She was just like, I wish. Like, she was like, I mean, say less.
Really wish. Yeah, say less, girl. This is going on national television. And she said, no, when I met her, we were a closed quad. And between the craziness of life and her being 12 hours away, they haven't dated. So which is it? The quad being closed or being far apart? So, one thing we did hear is that they were doing some water competition that was stupid. Taya was like, oh, yeah, I need to be drinking more water. Lex is like, oh, if you need a reward system like a child. And if you drink, enough water, you get 10 stars. 10 stars is a foot rub. And and then and Alesia was like, oh, yeah, and 20, you get to come visit me. And that's what set off this whole...
Alesia or Taya?
Whichever the other one is. Taya, yeah.
Alicia's like, please, no, not another person to compete with. They say a penny saved is a penny earned. And I'd like to add a penny invested with Acorns is a chance to grow that penny into more money. Acorns is a financial wellness app that makes it easy to start saving and investing for your future. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that matches you and your specific money goals. You also don't have to be rich. Acorns lets you get started with the spare money you've got right now, even if all you've got is spare change, like a penny. That's how I use Acorns. I started using the app a couple of years ago, and I can't tell you how great it feels to know I'm investing every time I shop because I've connected Acorns to my debit and credit cards, and it rounds up to the nearest dollar for every purchase I make and invests that amount for me. I don't have to do anything else. But recently, because I was so excited by watching my money grow, I designated a small recurring amount to be invested weekly on my behalf so I can continue investing in my future. You can do this too. Head to acorns.com/criminality or download the Acorns app to get started. Sign up now and join the over 13 million all-time customers who've already saved and invested over $22 billion with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/criminality or download the Acorns app to get started. Paid client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/criminality.
I can't rub your feet, please. Too busy with these pumps on me. So now we see Tyler and Taya, and they're talking about their dumb trip to the dumb coast, which is an hour away. Yeah. Apparently they're going overnight. As we said before, all of a sudden this is an overnight trip.
Bags are packed.
Yes. And here's another thing. We find out Sean and Alesia are going on a date the next night, right? Does that seem fair? You are watching those kids overnight. They come home rested, had a great time, and hey, you two dummies, you go out, have a night on the town after you've watched all 5 kids.
Home by 10, please. Yeah.
Alicia's being set up to fail, and I will die on that hill. So anyway, Tyler is talking and saying, it's rare that he and Taya get to go somewhere overnight together, but they all agreed that Taya needed something special. I'm about tired of her Taya privilege.
Well,
it's
to be
too
fair,
much, Rebekah.
The only person who didn't was Taya herself. She was very unsure, and she did communicate that. Did she agree in the end? Yes, but we'll get to.
I felt like I don't really want to go versus go. The whole intimacy thing is different, but going versus not is don't protest so much. You're doing too much, fair, girl. Okay, so Taya, of course, Tyler is saying bye to Alesia, and then he's saying, I think it was on the couch, I think I'm a romantic, and Taya says to him, you're the most romantic person I've ever dated. Go look at Tweedledum. That's who she's comparing you to.
I know.
Of course you're more romantic. I mean, I don't think it takes much, except his version of romance is not for me.
Ugh.
Gross. Taya, again, she's 2 months postpartum. She said it's tough to leave baby Q at this point. And Alicia's like, girl, we'll be fine. And that's when we hear baby Barrett say, I love you so much. See you tomorrow. I was like,
so adorable.
I know. I was like, whatever is left of my ovaries just squeezed and extended. And, it was great. And so Alesia is saying, Taya deserves a night away, of course, but she's jealous because her husband is clearly has this romantic night with her, and how her relationship with her husband is different. Obviously, Taya is still the new shiny thing to Tyler. So
again, I'm like, Alesia, are we sure about this decision? Everything you communicate feels like you've not bought in entirely.
No. And I think Alesia is trying.
I mean,
yeah, she's wearing Taya's eyelashes. She is trying to. She's Taya's guinea pig. She's doing everything she can. So I feel bad for her. So then we see Tyler in the car saying, I appreciate doing this. And them talking about Sean and Alesia, watching all the kids. And it's like, dude, you didn't give him a choice. And anyway, it's just kind of awkward talk. I think Tyler's a very awkward person in a way that I don't find endearing.
Agreed.
And whatever I said before, if I ever said that,
we
I was
were
lying.
Higher up with Tyler. He's a couple notches down for sure.
Yeah. He's about to go even further down. Go ahead.
So I feel like I might be a New York 6 or 7, but a Midwest 8, 9. I think Tyler is a quad 10.
Yes.
And that fuels him.
Yeah.
But should we put him out elsewhere? I don't think he's a 10.
I would rate you higher, BT dubs.
Oh, in New York.
Yeah.
Thanks.
In life,
Aw,
I would rate you higher. Come to Florida, girl. 10s all around. No, but you're exactly right. It's like, I guess he's the hottest one here or the best one here.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't basically make me feel terrible about myself every minute. So
that's where
I'll
the bar
enjoy
is.
it.
Yeah.
And so we hear Taya then talking about her fears for intimacy. She's just had a freaking baby.
Yeah.
She says that she and Tyler really only bond through intimacy, so that's been difficult. And I didn't need to know that, but now you get to know it too.
We're all in this together.
Okay. Yeah. And so she's like, I'm not sure if we're on the same page with like, I'd like to just go to sleep. And that is relatable, Taya.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if every woman's been in this situation who's had a child, but it was, and she was like, I've been cleared medically, like to be intimate again, but doesn't mean I want to. And I'm like, I know. I'm always like, are you sure? Because I don't want to hurt anybody or myself. Like, can I get a doctor's note?
Can I get an extension here? Yeah, but so it was that part I thought was very honest,
yes,
and I appreciated that for sure. Okay, and so now we're back at the house, and Alicia's just doing dishes, of course, just working her little butt off. Like she's like all the animals on Snow White. She's just doing everything, running around. So she's trying to connect with Sean, and she's like, "Do you think we should see another attorney about this?" Not paternity, the adoption stuff. And he's like, why? They're not going to tell us anything different. Basically, like, what's the point in any of this?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I refuse to give up. I want to do more research. Now we see the toddler's going to bed. Rebekah, I have to send you a picture, and I never want to judge another parent.
No, I have it written down. I know exactly what you're going to say, and
it's coming.
Is it text?
Tell me if it's what you think.
Oh,
because I think
it jumped out like a sore thumb. I was so okay. I am not a helicopter mom. I did not baby-proof my whole house, but there is no universe in which that outlet right by his little head should be uncovered.
By his little head, by his little fingers.
It's begging for a finger to be put in there by a cute, adorable 2-year-old boy.
I know. I could not believe it when I saw that.
It was so distracting. And I'm like, this family who does so much intentional playtime couldn't put one outlet cover in?
I know. I saw other things where they had baby proof. So I'm just wondering, I will give them grace because maybe the kid pulled it out all the time because my son would do that. You could like pop him out. And then I would worry about him choking on them. So there was a whole thing. But I had to tape it was a whole thing in my house.
I would move the bed. I don't know. That was so upsetting. And it was so, like the angle, it just was so front and center.
It reminded me so much of when poor Amy Slayton on TLC was talking about roaches and how people say that she has roaches in her house and how she was so embarrassed. And one just crawled over her head and they kept it in.
That is so shady.
It was terrible. But that's what it felt like where I'm like, oh, guys, like this is...
Yeah, because
it was just eye level, finger level, like immediately you go to
production team could have set them up for a little more success and been like, hey, like that's going to be in the shot. Or not shot it, like change the camera angle by 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the kid is adorable, but I was
I
to be barbecue.
Hyper focused on that too.
Good. I'm so glad because I don't want to be those people who
judging.
Are like, when a celebrity has their baby in a car seat and like all the comments are like, it should be up higher.
Oh, I know it's insufferable, but this was a glaring example of like a very easy fix.
Thank you. Okay. So anyway, Sean's saying, I'll never stop fighting for my family or fighting my family. I'm not sure exactly what he said. But in the meantime, he's like, I have to trust that Tyler wouldn't take these kids away from me if something happened and, trust that we all have the same ideas behind it, that we all want the kids to be together. Right. Back to Tyler and Taya, and Tyler saying, my relationship with Taya's always been very romantic. So he's like, I want to do that for her. Mm-hmm. So when I think romance, I would think pizza, but I'm not everyone else. I'm not every woman. But when Tyler thinks it, he thinks real rose petals on a white comforter of an Airbnb.
That you don't own? I know.
I'm like, this is why they keep raising our freaking cleaning fees on Airbnbs, because why is this happening to us? This is so I was like, that's rude. That is actually very rude. So he's blindfolding Taya, which is my nightmare, and then walks her into this bedroom and's like, blindfolding you to get into the mood. Go ahead.
Did the room feel weirdly small?
Teeny tiny. It was so tiny. But I mean, they're at the coast. I don't know.
New York City hotel rooms, very small, but it was like the doorways were short. Like everything seemed miniature.
Yeah.
So weird.
You're exactly right.
Go on.
Yeah.
Just wondering if I was the only one who saw that.
No, it looked more like the kids' room of that house.
Right.
Like, not the primary, whatever that house was.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, then we find out there's body paint.
Edible body paints. Tyler, read the room. It's very small. It won't take long. You have a woman who's talking about how she's not comfortable in her body yet, and you want to put paint on her.
I know. You might as well draw arrows on her. Like, what is it that you hate? Let's draw.
Yeah. Like, also, when you have a baby eating, like, your body is their food, and now you want to also eat paint off me? No.
Oh, he is a monster in this moment.
Just the worst.
Eventually, though, she's like, my boobs hurt. I'm tired. Not super into this. And
good for her.
Becomes uncomfortable. Yeah, goes to the bathroom. She's like, I mean, also you have cameras there.
Wrote that. I'm like, you want her to be intimate 8 weeks after with a camera crew? Like, it's a big ask without that.
Yeah, it's a big ask all the way around, and he's a big asker of this. So Taya's in the bathroom. She's like, I need a second. Tyler's like, I feel terrible. I have no idea what I did wrong. There's another thing that irritates me.
Yeah.
There's something with him where he's like,
I can do no wrong.
I had no idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's not used to,
Yep. And so all of a sudden, I guess for some reason, to be more comfortable, they decided to play Chubby Bunny with the marshmallows.
Well, that was Taya's idea. So, I mean, look, she should call the shots, but it was an interesting alternative. Also, they had a pack of marshmallows.
They did
someone's plan.
Marshmallows. I know. Ugh, I guess she was like, body paint, marshmallows, fine. I'll do marshmallows.
Right.
I cannot watch anybody do that. Like that. Ugh, makes me feel sick. Okay. So now we are thankfully kicked out of the room, and they have their date night, whatever. We are back to the House of Horrors, and Sean is on the couch holding baby Q, patting his little baby butt, which I know. Butt, in that like little birdie position. And he says to Alesia, who's of course, scrubbing the floor with her foot and doing dishes with her hands.
With a breast
Can you
pump
check on the boys?
Just in case there's a drop.
Look, guys, I'm really doing it. And she was like, hey, he said, can you check on the boys? And so she looks at the monitors like, what does she say? Barrett's not on screen. Barrett's screeching and Carver's nowhere to be seen. Probably has a fork in that electric socket.
Don't say it.
It's terrible. Okay, so anyway, they're like, okay, Tyler and Taya are 5 minutes away. So now we're just waiting for them to get in.
They're literally counting down.
He like has a tracker on them. He's like
the location.
They
dying.
were in town 7 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm dead. It's so funny.
But when you're like relieving somebody or somebody's relieving you of having kids, you're like,
no, it was relatable.
I need to know.
Yeah, it was just funny.
It was. Okay. And so that's where we see Alesia on the couch, and she's like, I thought I was missing out on those like nighttime snuggles with baby Q, but newborn stuff is difficult, so I'm fine with it.
Right.
Yeah. And Taya and Tyler come back. Taya's like, apparently the only thing I need to feel sexy is for you. This is in the car. For you to say no pressure or something. And he says, no pressure. And she's like, oh.
Yeah, that was weird. And I'm like, okay, so they just told us what happened after. Right?
Yeah. But we still get to hear more of what happened. And so they go inside. Alicia's giving baby Q to Taya. Did you hear this?
Yes.
You heard this. I know you did. And you hear Sean say off to the side, he's mad at you.
Oh, I couldn't tell who said it. I knew it was a guy. And I'm like, it must be Sean. I mean, what is...
He doesn't say it once. He says
I know.
It twice.
It was, And she's like...
Taya's holding the baby. And
so bad.
Yeah. He says again, he's mad at you. And she finally acknowledges it. And she's like, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
And Alesia, of course, taking out the garbage and braiding a kid's hair is like, no, he's not mad at you. He's not mad at you. Tyler's asking Alesia how she slept. She said not great. And Taya does ask Sean after this whole, he's mad at you. He's mad at you. She's like, are you projecting?
Good for her. Again, point Taya.
Yeah. This is where closed caption does help me because I don't always know who's saying.
Yeah, and I wasn't taking notes, so I was like, I bet that was Sean.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And so now Tyler says, I feel bad. Alesia's night was rough, and that's why that was my whole thought was like, okay, great. Her date night's tonight with this lump, and she's tired. Lord, bear me strength. So Alesia's asking the polite thing, which is to be like, how was your trip? That did not ask for any details, nor the lady's hanging on by a string.
Yeah, there was only one acceptable answer, which was like, it's nice. Yeah. I'm happy to be home.
You can tell she wants him to say like, oh, recharge. Yeah. And of course, dumb Tyler opens his dumb mouth and he says, when we got there and we got settled, it was great. Also, I brought this edible body paint that I put on her arm with a stencil. Why are stencils involved?
Wait, I thought Taya first brought up the paint. But you took notes, so I don't believe myself. I wouldn't myself.
I would, and I don't trust.
She didn't
Taya,
shy away from it.
Very well could have been. No, that's the thing. She stays very quiet in these moments where she could say like, Alesia doesn't like this. Like, let's cut it out. And so Alesia's like, I don't want to talk about it. Alesia says on the couch, I hate when Tyler talks about the intimate details. He knows this by now. Like, this has gone on for years. And like,
we know it. He must know it. Like, we are very aware.
Of course. But, he doesn't know. What did he do wrong? He has no idea. Yeah, he's an idiot. And so you hear Tyler out in the kitchen and he's saying, it's hard getting back to intimacy after a baby. And you can watch because like Alesia's face is on there. Her whole eyelashes just
close curtain, and scene. That's a wrap.
Amazing. So, so she's like, I don't care. I don't assume.
Right.
But I don't want to hear about it. And I think that's fine. And you just see Sean, the demon, being like, geez, like, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
To which Alesia asks a great clarifying question.
Yeah. She says, I don't care or I don't want to talk about it. Big difference. Yeah. And like everyone obviously knows there's a chance this happened. She knows this lady just had a baby with him. She knows what's happening. Yeah. But to hear the details, there's a reason Sister Wives lasted so long. They did not hear the details of these other women. Right. So then Tyler's defending himself. He's like, I said intimate. I didn't say with my clothes off. And she's like, do you get intimate with your clothes on? Right. And
not with Taya,
she says as she does laundry in the other room. She's screaming from the laundry. So Tyler was like, no, I was talking activities. And she's like, you mean body paint? Like, we know what you're saying.
Right. Stop. You can't walk this back.
No. And then Tyler's doing his dumb guy emoji thing where he's like, says to her, he's like, I'm just pretty, I normally talk very openly with Sean and Taya. So I have to remember, this is on the couch, he says to her, I have to remember to censor myself in those situations with you.
No, you need to be considerate of your wife.
Yes. The other C word, not your wife, but considerate, not censor.
To be clear.
And she's basically like, sorry, I didn't know you guys were having these conversations around me and like having to hide them or whatever. But back to the kitchen, again, Sean is yelling from the galley, I don't care. Doesn't bother me. And Sean's like, it doesn't bother me. It's fine if I know. I don't ask. But if I hear it, I'm fine. It doesn't do anything. I'm like, sure, Jan.
I think he likes knowing.
That is an option too. Sorry. I just did no, you're good. Alesia says to Sean, I don't want to know about your details. I don't want to know about their details. I just don't want to know. I don't have to hear all these details. And Alesia says on the couch, hearing this brings up past triggers and all these jealousy feelings and stuff I've dealt with that just brings it back up. And the lady's worked hard to deal with this. And it's like being thrown in her face, almost to agitate her. Right. I hold Taya responsible in that to a degree to just not shut it down.
She could have shut it down.
Sitting right there. Yeah. She could have just said, guys, no, we're not talking about this. Right. Easy.
Because it does turn into such thing among all of them. Yeah.
And she knows that. And I feel like Alesia stands up for her, but I don't think Taya stands up for Alesia.
That's a good point. But she's she's probably like, she's upset because Alicia's not interested in a romantic connection with her. And she probably wants that.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
think so.
I think she likes Alesia just doing her dishes.
Well,
and other dishes. I don't know. I don't think that's a sexual innuendo. Okay. So we have the next time on, and I wasn't going to write it down, but it made me mad. So, Sean is saying to Taya, I need to get my stuff tested to make sure my vasectomy's stuck. Which, why is that even a worry? Like, that's not a real thing you would really, you know what I mean? Like, they apparently just got them done. I think you're okay. Alicia's on the couch to Sean and Taya and says, hey, did you have fun dropping off your sample? Like, just kind of being polite is all Alesia was doing. And Sean has to say, well, first I had to ask the lady if it was okay to do my sample if I'd already had sex this morning. And Alicia's eyelashes almost fell off her face and slapped Sean. Because she's like,
again,
our intimacy hasn't been great. And she's
again, I'm here having to listen to this. Good, kicking a woman when she's down.
Luckily, she was outside mowing the grass and
guarding all outlets from toddler's human shield.
So luckily, she got through that pretty easily. But then Alesia says to the quad, you know, we've heard all of this about her dad, and she's like, hey, I'm thinking of talking to my dad. Of course, in this preview, they all have opinions that she shouldn't, but I think the girl needs support from someone.
Anyone, yeah.
Yeah, and Alesia says to the group, at what point could I invite my dad to stuff? And Sean says, quote, I thought the ultimatum was when he said Tay and I can't be there, then he can't be there. And so he's like, I feel like Alesia needs someone.
Yeah.
Someone.
I also feel like with your biological family or family of origin, you get to reserve the right to change your mind. Like, maybe she agreed to that, but I think it's fair that she brings it up. She's like, I'm struggling with not being connected to my family. I would like to try this again. I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, totally. And then Sean says, if this was anyone but your dad, we wouldn't have this conversation. And she says, yeah, he's my dad. And Sean says, yeah, but at the end of the day, that means nothing.
Oh, excuse me, sir?
Yes.
The one who's like elbowing everyone in the way of his paternity, right?
Yes.
Shut up, Sean. Shut up, Sean. This episode is called Shut Up, Sean.
Shut up, Sean. Yeah, I says the man who lost his mind over O negative. Yeah, and I said, I don't know what happened after this. I went to a rage. But yes, Rebekah, what does O negative remind you of?
Breaking news. We know our blood types. After you, Melissa.
Yeah. Well, I've had blood work the past week and I lucked out. And that was one of the things that was being done. So, Rebekah, you straight up messaged your doctor before we started recording.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to go to Rebekah's doctor. This is like
there is
breaking.
No one better than Dr. Savard. Love you forever, girl.
You sound like my ChatGPT. Okay, girl. Okay. Do you want to say it on the count of 3? Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, positive.
Oh, positive. We are both basic. And
I know. I was so bad. I'm like, is that really rare? Like, no, it's the most common ever. Ugh.
But that's the first thing I did. When I saw O positive, I Googled and said, how rare is O positive? And it was like 40%.
I guess that's like a good thing, safety-wise.
It is.
It's accessible.
It's a helpful one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, it is.
So we're O positive. We delivered on a promise of telling you what we know you guys have been just dying to know.
Against Rebekah's judgment of whether or not you're going to steal our blood now.
Yeah, I feel like
both
still this is a weird HIPAA violation, even though it's us about our blood type, which you can do nothing with, feels wrong. And yet, delighted to share. And I'm just glad to know. I put it in my notes on my phone. I feel empowered.
Me too. I have it in my health thing, but I have nothing else in my health thing, including like my date of birth. So I doubt like an EMT is going to go in there and be like, she doesn't even know her date of birth.
I'm not trusting her blood type. Let's do a quick test.
Yeah. So anyway, we're both watching shows, but I think we're both watching probably the same thing as Secret Lives of Mormon.
Yeah. There's really been nothing else that, and I'm keeping up on Summer House and The Valley. So I don't really have any big surprises for you there.
Yeah. I think more stuff is coming out soon. Something I'm very excited about is coming out tomorrow, so I'll have to tell you about it next time.
Shoot. Okay. I think something coming out for me is very end of May. And so I'll bring that up later.
Save it.
Yeah, but I'm also going out of town. So stay tuned for some super fun mystery co-host.
Yes.
I will try to watch PolyFamily in Italia, but no promises.
No. Honestly, don't bring that garbage there. Please don't.
I might just try to start a PolyFamily in Italia and stay.
Ew,
Sorry,
don't do that.
I don't know. I just wanted to make it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to stay in Italy, and however I need to do that, I'll do it.
Okay, that's okay. I can agree to that. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us at criminalityshow.com or on Instagram at criminalityshow.
You got it.
And that's it. And we'll be back next week. One version of us. Half of us will be here next week, and half will be a special guest, but we'll miss Rebekah, and we will do this again next week.
Arrivederci. Sorry. Ciao.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Bye.
Bye.
Find yourself looking for a new job or change in career? Monster.com is here to help. We are not only here to bring you job postings, but also AI interview prep and salary tools, expert career advice, and top-notch resume services. We've got everything you need to land your perfect job fit. Discover the magic of finding the ideal job with Monster.com. Your future starts now. Visit Monster.com today. Your next job opportunity is just a click away.